chosen one, before comfort can reach you, truth must confront you. And this truth is not gentle, it is not polished, it does not flatter your wounds. Here it is, the loneliness you feel is not a punishment, it is a pattern. The misunderstanding that follows you from room to room is not bad luck. The isolation that wraps around your life like a silent fog is not because you failed to fit in. It is because you were never designed to. You have tried to explain yourself. You have softened your words, lowered your light, edited your convictions just to be understood. Yet the more you explain, the more distant people seem. That is because divine calling creates spiritual distance before it creates visible purpose. You were separated long before you were sent. This is the part no one prepares you for. Calling does not begin with applause. It begins with exile. Not physical exile, but emotional, relational, internal exile. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. You can be celebrated for what you do and still rejected for who you are. This is an uncomfortable spiritual truth. Those who are chosen are often lonely before they are useful. Heaven removes familiar voices so you can learn to recognize God's voice without interference. If everyone understood you, you would never learn discernment. If everyone stayed, you would never learn dependence. Loneliness is not always absence, it is training. You've noticed it, haven't you? The moment you stopped thinking like everyone else, conversations became shallow. The moment you refused to compromise, invitations slowed down. The moment you obeyed God quietly, without announcing it, certain connections dissolved without explanation. That is not coincidence. That is divine filtration. God is not punishing you by removing people. He is protecting you from leaning on voices that cannot follow you where you're going. Here is another hard truth. Misunderstanding is the tax of obedience. When you walk with God, people will label you before they listen to you. They will project motives onto you that were never yours. They will call your discipline pride, your boundaries arrogance, your silence weakness. But what they are really reacting to is conviction. Your life exposes what they avoid. Your obedience confronts their delay. Your peace irritates their chaos. You must stop interpreting misunderstanding as a sign you are wrong. Many of God's messengers were rejected not because they lacked love, but because they carried truth too heavy for comfortable ears. You are not strange, you are early. You are not isolated, you are set apart. You are not forgotten, you are hidden. This is where heaven steps in and interrupts your striving. You have done everything you know how to do. You prayed, you endured, you stayed faithful when no one clapped. You kept going when results were invisible. And now heaven speaks plainly. You've done enough, now let me take over. Not because you are weak, but because you are done trying to carry what was never yours to hold. There is a sacred moment when effort turns into exhaustion, and obedience requires stillness instead of action. You are standing at that moment now. God is not asking for another sacrifice of energy. He is asking for surrender of control. Control feels productive, but it quietly replaces trust. And heaven will interrupt even good effort if it begins to compete with faith. You were never meant to fight every battle, explain every calling, or prove every assignment. Some victories only happen when you step back. Some doors only open when you stop knocking. Some answers only arrive when you stop demanding them. This is not passivity, this is alignment. When you rest in God, you are not quitting. You are agreeing with divine order. The isolation you feel right now is not emptiness, it is space. Space for clarity. Space for correction. Space for God to speak without noise. This is the quiet before acceleration. But acceleration will not come through hustle. It will come through trust. We are reminded through the words spoken by Jesus himself in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 36. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. This is not a sentence meant to frighten you. It is a revelation meant to free you. Even Jesus warned that obedience would fracture familiarity. When God places a calling on your life, it does not negotiate with comfort. Sometimes the deepest resistance comes from the closest circles, not because they hate you, but because they cannot recognize who you are becoming. This truth releases you from the burden of trying to be understood by everyone you love. Chosen one, listen carefully. Your loneliness has sharpened you. Your misunderstanding has humbled you. Your isolation has trained you to hear heaven clearly. None of it was wasted. None of it was random, and none of it disqualified you. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are positioned. This is the moment where heaven's hand begins to move visibly, but only after you release the illusion that everything depends on you. God does not partner with panic. He partners with trust. And trust begins when you stop running. If this message resonates with you, take a moment now to like this message so it reaches others who feel unseen. Share it with someone walking alone in their calling, and subscribe to stay connected to what heaven is unfolding next. And as a prophetic act of agreement, comment the number 77 below to declare I release control. God takes over. Chosen one. Now we move deeper past the surface struggle and into the hidden altar of the heart. This is where effort quietly transforms into idolatry, not the obvious kind, not golden statues or spoken confessions, but the subtle belief that if you stop striving, everything will collapse. This is where many of the called become exhausted without realizing why. Because somewhere along the way, prayer stopped being communion and became a performance review. Here is the uncomfortable truth you learned to survive by effort, and survival slowly taught you to replace trust. You didn't plan to. You didn't announce it. It happened quietly. Over years of responsibility, pressure, and unmet expectations. You began to believe that God moves fastest when you push hardest, that heaven responds best to detailed explanations. That rest must be earned, and without realizing it, prayer turned into a report of accomplishments instead of a posture of surrender. You come before God and list what you've done, how long you've waited, how faithful you've been, how much you've endured, not because you are proud, but because you are afraid. Afraid that if you don't explain yourself, heaven might overlook you. Afraid that silence will be mistaken for laziness. Afraid that stillness will look like disobedience. This fear does not make you evil. It makes you tired. Effort becomes idolatry when you trust it more than God's sovereignty. When your peace depends on productivity. When your worth rises and falls with outcomes. When rest feels irresponsible instead of holy. You say you believe God is in control, but your body never stops bracing. Your mind never stops planning. Your spirit never fully exhales. This is why heaven now invites you into a practice that feels almost offensive to your conditioning. Stop praying like you are submitting a performance report. For 3 to 5 minutes, come before God and ask for nothing. Say nothing that explains how hard you tried. Offer no justification, no resume, no defense, no strategy. Just be there. This kind of prayer exposes idols quickly, because the moment you stop asking, the anxiety surfaces. The moment you stop explaining, the discomfort rises. You suddenly feel unproductive, exposed, unnecessary. That reaction reveals how deeply effort has been tied to identity. Silence threatens the ego that survived by doing. But this prayer is not empty. It is confrontational. It confronts the lie that God needs your help to be God. It dismantles the belief that effort earns attention. It retrains your spirit to exist without proving anything. In that quiet, you are reminded that you were loved before you ever produced fruit. Do not rush this moment. Sit in it. Let the unease speak. Let the restlessness rise and pass. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing slow. Let your nervous system learn that nothing collapses when you stop managing outcomes. The world does not fall apart. God does not withdraw. In fact, this is often when His presence becomes unmistakable. This practice is not about discipline, it is about dethronement. You are removing effort from the place it never belonged. You are telling your soul, I am not saved by striving. I am not sustained by performance. I am not kept by control. You are learning again what childlike trust feels like, not childish, but dependent. At first, this kind of prayer will feel unproductive. That is because it does not feed the idol. It starves it. Effort wants to be noticed. Silence refuses to applaud it. Over time, something shifts. Your inner noise quiets. Your need to manage decreases. Your confidence stops being fueled by adrenaline and starts being anchored in assurance. You will begin to recognize how often you were rushing God, how frequently you were trying to assist His timing, how subtly you were assuming responsibility for things He never assigned to you. And with that recognition comes grief, but also relief, because you realize you can stop. You were never meant to carry everything. You were meant to trust someone who already does. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 5. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of God. This is not a rebuke, it is a release. Sufficiency was never your assignment. God never asked you to be enough. He asked you to be available. When you confuse the two, effort becomes a substitute savior. But when you return sufficiency to God, effort becomes what it was always meant to be: obedient response, not desperate striving. As you practice this silent prayer, you will notice changes beyond the moment itself. Your reactions slow. Your urgency fades. Your need to be seen diminishes. You stop explaining yourself so much. You stop defending your pace. You stop feeling guilty for resting, not because you care less, but because you trust more. This is how heaven gently takes over, not through dramatic signs, but through surrendered habits, through small daily choices to stop performing and start abiding, through minutes of silence that retrain years of self-reliance, through the courage to believe that God is working even when you are still. Chosen one, this practice will not make you passive. It will make you precise. When you move again, it will be from alignment, not anxiety, from obedience, not obligation, from trust, not fear. Effort will no longer sit on the throne. God will. And in that order, your strength returns clean, quiet, unforced. Chosen one, now the weight reveals itself. Not the kind others can see, but the kind that settles into your bones. This is the cost of carrying what was never assigned to you. You didn't wake up one day and choose this burden. It accumulated slowly, expectation by expectation, responsibility by responsibility, until your strength became the substitute for everyone else's surrender. You became the dependable one, the strong one, the one who can handle it. And at first it felt honorable, necessary, even spiritual. But over time, what began as obedience turned into obligation. You stopped discerning what was yours to carry and started absorbing everything that was near you. Other people's emotions, other people's failures, other people's delays. You told yourself you were helping. In truth, You were hemorrhaging. There is a hidden danger in being capable. People will place burdens on you that God never did. And if you don't learn to refuse them, you will confuse exhaustion with holiness. You will call burnout faithfulness. You will call depletion sacrifice. And slowly, silently, your inner life will dry up while your outer life stays functional. This is why you feel tired even after resting. Because sleep cannot heal a soul crushed by responsibility it was never meant to bear. You are weary not because you lack discipline, but because you have been carrying spiritual weight without spiritual permission. You took on battles God never assigned you. You fought wars that were never yours. And heaven has been watching, not disappointed, but waiting. Here is another difficult truth: carrying everything gives the illusion of control, but it robs you of intimacy with God. When your hands are always full, you cannot receive. When your mind is always solving, it cannot listen. When your identity is tied to being needed, you will fear being released. But God does not measure love by usefulness. He measures it by relationship. You were not created to be a reservoir. You were created to be a channel. Reservoirs eventually stagnate. Channels stay fresh because they let things pass through. Somewhere along the way, you stopped letting things pass. You absorbed them instead. And now your spirit feels heavy, foggy, resistant to joy. That is not failure. That is feedback. Heaven is showing you the cost so you can finally lay it down. This is where many chosen ones resist, because letting go feels irresponsible. It feels like abandonment. It feels like betrayal of those who rely on you. But what if the very act of carrying them has delayed their growth? What if your strength has become their hiding place? What if God is asking you to release not because you don't care, but because He does? There is a sacred difference between compassion and substitution. Compassion walks with, substitution replaces. And when you replace God in someone else's process, even unintentionally, you block both their maturity and your rest. This is not love. This is misplaced responsibility. Jesus addressed this weight directly, not with rebuke, but with invitation. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Notice what he does not say. He does not say, "Try harder." He does not say, "Organize better." He does not say, "Be stronger." He says, "Come." Rest is not a reward for the disciplined. It is a provision for the burdened. This rest is not escape, it is exchange. You bring what you cannot carry, and He gives what you cannot produce. But this exchange only happens when you admit you are overloaded. Pride resists rest. Calling embraces it. You must allow yourself to feel the grief of laying things down. Grief for roles you outgrew. Grief for expectations you can no longer meet. Grief for the version of you that survived by being everything to everyone. That version kept you alive, but it cannot take you where God is leading you next. You are entering a season where sustainability matters more than impressiveness, where obedience matters more than output, where alignment matters more than admiration. God is not asking you to disappear. He is asking you to redistribute the weight. This section of the journey is quiet, internal, and deeply uncomfortable. But it is also holy, because for the first time in a long time, you are learning how light obedience actually feels. You are discovering that peace is not laziness, that rest is not retreat, that boundaries are not rejection, they are stewardship. Before moving forward, mark this moment with a simple act of agreement. Comment, lay it down below. This is not a slogan, It is a decision, a declaration that you will no longer carry what God never placed on you, that you release false responsibility, that you trust God to hold what you cannot. Chosen one, when you stop carrying everything, you don't become weaker. You become accurate. And accuracy is where power returns. Chosen one, this is where the misunderstanding reaches its peak. Because what heaven is asking of you now looks, to the natural eye, like retreat. You are not pushing, you are not proving, you are not forcing outcomes. And people who only understand power through pressure will quietly assume you are losing ground. But here is the truth they cannot see. Surrender is not defeat. It is realignment. You are trained to associate strength with resistance, to believe that yielding means giving up territory. But in the kingdom of God, surrender is not collapse. It is cooperation. When you surrender, you are not handing your life to chaos. You are handing it back to its rightful authority. This is the part of the journey where pride disguises itself as responsibility, where letting go feels dangerous because your identity has been intertwined with holding everything together. You told yourself, if I don't manage this, it will fall apart. But what if the constant holding is exactly what has kept things stagnant? What if heaven has been waiting for you to step back? Not because you failed, but because the next phase requires a different posture. Surrender does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. It means you stop negotiating with God about timing, methods, and visibility. It means you trust that obedience is enough, even when it is quiet and unseen. This kind of surrender feels like standing still in the middle of motion. It requires courage because it strips you of the illusion that you are the source. Here is another uncomfortable truth: control often masquerades as faith when fear is involved. You said you trusted God, but you also micromanaged outcomes. You prayed, but you also panicked. You obeyed, but only if you could predict the result. That is not rebellion, it is human. But heaven is now inviting you into something cleaner, simpler, and far more powerful. Surrender recalibrates authority. When you stop grasping, you actually gain ground in the spiritual realm. Because now your actions are no longer driven by anxiety but by alignment. You are no longer reacting, you are responding. And response carries heaven's weight. This is why surrender often feels like silence before movement, like emptiness before filling, like release before promotion. God frequently removes the crutch before strengthening the legs. He strips away false support so you can experience what it feels like to be upheld by Him alone. Many chosen ones stumble here because they interpret the loss of control as loss of favor. But the opposite is true. Favor often increases when striving decreases. When you surrender, you make space for God to do what only He can do. Rearrange people, accelerate timing, and resolve battles you were never meant to fight. The ancient words recorded in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 6, still speak with authority today. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you in due time. Notice the order: humility first, exaltation later. Surrender is not the end of the story, it is the doorway. But the elevation comes in due time, not rush time, not forced time. God refuses to exalt what is still driven by self-reliance because it would crush you. This is why surrender feels vulnerable, because it removes your leverage. You cannot bargain with God anymore. You cannot rush Him. You cannot impress Him. You can only trust Him. And trust, unlike effort, requires waiting without anxiety. As you practice surrender, something subtle begins to shift. Your reactions soften. Your urgency dissolves. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never assigned to understand you. You become less available to chaos and more available to clarity. This is not weakness. This is mastery. People may not notice immediately. Some will even question your quietness. Let them. Obedience does not require witnesses. God sees what you release. Heaven records what you relinquish. And nothing surrendered in faith is ever lost, it is repositioned. If this message has helped you reframe surrender not as defeat, but as alignment, consider gently supporting this space. You can like this message so it reaches others who are struggling to let go. Share it with someone who feels stuck between effort and trust. And subscribe if you want to continue walking through these moments of clarity together. Not out of pressure, but out of resonance. Chosen one. Surrender is not the lowering of your standards. It is the lifting of your source. You are not stepping back because you are afraid. You are stepping back because you finally know who is in control. And when God takes the lead, nothing is lost, everything is ordered. Chosen one. This is the moment where heaven's takeover becomes visible, not loud, not chaotic, but undeniable. Up until now, most of the work has been internal, hidden, quiet. You have been unlearning control, releasing weight, surrendering outcomes, and it may have felt like nothing was happening. But that feeling was not absence. It was transition. Here is the truth many do not understand. God often moves fastest when you are no longer rushing. When you finally step back, heaven steps forward when you loosen your grip. Divine order begins to rearrange what your effort could never fix. This is not coincidence. This is response. You are now watching things shift without your interference. Conversations change tone. Resistance loses strength. Doors you could not force begin to open on their own. Some people drift away without drama. Others return without explanation. Opportunities appear without chasing. Problems resolve without confrontation. This is what happens when God takes over what you released. But let's be clear, this does not happen because you perfected surrender. It happens because you obeyed despite discomfort. You trusted without proof. You rested while unfinished things stared back at you. And heaven honors that kind of faith. This is where many chosen ones struggle again, because when God begins to move, the temptation to reinsert yourself returns. You see progress and think, maybe I should help just a little. You notice momentum and feel the urge to manage it. But hear this clearly, what God starts in sovereignty must be sustained by trust. If you step back in too early, you interrupt the very process you prayed for. God's takeover does not need supervision. This phase requires restraint more than action, discernment more than speed. You must learn how to watch without controlling, how to participate without possessing, how to move when led, not when anxious. This is mature faith, not passive, but submitted. You may notice that some outcomes do not arrive the way you imagined. God's solutions rarely match human strategy. He resolves root issues, not surface symptoms. He removes dependencies, not just obstacles. He closes doors permanently that you only wanted adjusted. And while that can sting, it is also mercy. Because God is not interested in maintaining cycles that keep you exhausted. Heaven's takeover also includes timing. Things that felt delayed suddenly align. What took years to force takes weeks to unfold. This is not acceleration for show, it is restoration of order. When God leads, time itself cooperates. But there is one more truth you must accept when God takes over. He also takes credit. You cannot claim this victory. You cannot trace it back to your strategy. You cannot explain it in a way that glorifies your discipline. And that is intentional. God removes your fingerprints so your faith deepens, not your ego. This is why testimony often follows surrender, because you know this wasn't you. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you and you shall hold your peace. This was spoken in front of an impossible situation. An army behind, a sea ahead, no strategy left, and God did not give instructions for battle, he commanded stillness. Because some victories only happen when you stop fighting. Holding your peace is not weakness, it is trust in motion. It is choosing not to panic while God rearranges the impossible. It is resisting the urge to interfere while heaven demonstrates power on your behalf. As God takes over, you may feel exposed at first, less busy, less frantic, less needed. But that emptiness is space for authority to return. You were never meant to be the engine, you were meant to be the vessel. Engines burn out, vessels are filled. This season will also reveal who was only connected to your effort. When you stop striving, some relationships will fade. Let them. They were sustained by your output, not your essence. God is pruning dependency so alignment can deepen. And now, as a marker of agreement, not superstition but intention, I invite you to comment 888 below. This number represents new order, divine movement, and what happens when heaven overrides human limitation. By writing it, you are not asking God to move, you are acknowledging that He already is. Chosen one, do not rush this phase. Do not analyze it to death. Let God finish what He started. Watch how He resolves what drained you. Observe how He defends what you released. This is not the end of your responsibility, it is the correction of it. When heaven takes over, peace becomes evidence, and peace is something effort could never produce. Chosen one. Now you enter a dimension of faith that few are taught and even fewer master. This is the discipline of holy rest, not as recovery, but as resistance, not as reward, but as warfare. Up to now, you were taught that progress requires pressure, that movement demands momentum, that faith is proven by effort, but heaven is now re-educating you. Because there are battles you will never win by pushing and enemies that only retreat when you stop chasing them. Rest feels dangerous to those who survived by vigilance. Your nervous system learned to stay alert because silence once meant vulnerability. Stillness felt irresponsible. Slowing down felt like falling behind. But that conditioning was shaped by fear, not by truth. And God does not build His kingdom on fear-driven reflexes. Rest in the kingdom is not collapse, it is clarity. When you truly rest, you are not disengaging from purpose. You are disengaging from panic. You are stepping out of reaction and back into authority, because reaction gives power to circumstances. Rest returns power to God. This is why rest is hated by the part of you that learned to survive without help. That part whispers that if you stop, you will lose relevance, that if you pause, you will miss your moment, that if you slow down, others will pass you by. But those whispers are not prophetic. They are echoes of a season that has already ended. Holy rest confronts urgency at its root. It asks a hard question: who is really sustaining your life, your effort, or God's faithfulness? If the answer is effort, rest will feel terrifying. But if the answer is God, rest will feel like coming home. This is why rest is a weapon, because it declares trust without words. It is a living testimony that God is working even when you are still. It is spiritual defiance against anxiety, against scarcity thinking, against the lie that everything depends on you. You must understand this clearly. Burnout is not proof of dedication. It is often evidence of misplaced responsibility. God never intended you to run on adrenaline. He designed you to function from assurance. Adrenaline exhausts. Assurance sustains. When you rest in faith, something remarkable happens. Your discernment sharpens, your reactions soften, your spirit becomes sensitive again. You begin to sense timing instead of forcing it. You recognize when to move and when not to. This is not laziness. This is precision. Rest also exposes what effort hides. In stillness, unresolved fears surface. Unhealed grief speaks. Suppressed disappointment rises. This is not failure, it is healing beginning. God cannot restore what you refuse to feel. And rest creates the space where truth can surface without judgment. Many chosen ones avoid rest because they fear what will emerge when they stop moving. But God is not afraid of your unprocessed pain. He has been waiting for you to slow down enough to receive what He has already prepared. There is a strength that only appears when striving ends. A calm authority, a grounded confidence, a peace that does not fluctuate with outcomes. This is the strength of those who know they are upheld, not self-made. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 15. In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. This declaration reverses everything fear taught you. Strength is not found in noise, but in quietness. Salvation is not sustained by running forward, but by returning. Rest is not retreat, it is rescue. Notice the word returning. It implies you once lived this way. Before pressure hardened you, before disappointment trained you to brace, before responsibility convinced you that vulnerability was unsafe. Rest is not something new you must learn, it is something ancient you must remember. As you practice rest, you may notice resistance from others. Some will misinterpret your peace as disengagement. Some will question your pace. Some will project their anxiety onto your stillness. Let them. Not everyone understands authority that does not shout. Not everyone recognizes power that does not perform. God is recalibrating your rhythm, teaching you when to move and when to remain, showing you that obedience is not measured by speed but by alignment. When you move from rest, your actions carry weight. When you speak from rest, your words carry authority. When you decide from rest, your choices carry clarity. This is how rest becomes warfare. You are no longer fighting shadows. You are no longer reacting to provocation. You are no longer drained by what once demanded your attention. You conserve strength for assignments that actually matter. Chosen one. This rest is not temporary recovery, it is a new operating system, a return to design, a rejection of counterfeit urgency. You are learning to live upheld, not overextended, led, not driven, secure, not strained. And from this place, what comes next will not exhaust you because it will finally be from God, not from fear. Chosen one, you have arrived at a quiet summit, not loud, not crowded, not announced. There is no parade here, no audience measuring your progress, only clarity. This is where you finally understand that the crown was never forged through struggle. It was formed through trust. What once felt like loss now reveals itself as refinement. What once felt like delay now reads as protection. You are no longer chasing peace. You are wearing it. For a long time, you believed endurance was the proof of calling, that if you could survive the pressure, the confusion, the isolation, then you were worthy to be used. But heaven has been correcting that belief step by step. Endurance kept you alive, trust made you accurate, and accuracy is what authority responds to. You are crowned now not with visibility, but with stability. Not with noise, but with assurance. You move differently because you are no longer driven by fear of falling behind. You listen differently because you are no longer desperate to be affirmed. You decide differently because you are no longer reacting to urgency. This is not pride. This is peace anchored in alignment. The crown you carry does not make you superior to others. It makes you responsible to truth. You can feel when something is rushed. You can sense when something is forced. You can tell when something is not yours to fix. That discernment is not accidental. It is the fruit of every moment you chose trust over control, rest over panic, surrender over striving. You are beginning to see that God did not remove struggle to make you comfortable. He removed it to make you clear, because clarity sustains what comfort never could. Comfort fades. Clarity remains. This is also where comparison loses its grip. You are no longer threatened by others moving faster, louder, or wider. You understand now that speed is not significance, volume is not authority, and visibility is not favor. You are content with the pace that keeps you aligned, because misalignment costs more than delay ever could. The future no longer feels like something you must conquer. It feels like something you are being led into. You trust the timing because you trust the guide. And that trust is what stabilizes you when circumstances fluctuate. You are no longer shaken by uncertainty because your identity is not built on outcomes. This is what it means to be crowned by trust. The crown does not sit on effort. It rests on reliance. It does not reward exhaustion. It honors obedience. And it is lighter than the burdens you used to carry, because it was designed to be worn, not dragged. You will still face challenges. Trust does not remove opposition, but it changes how you meet it. You no longer rush to defend yourself. You no longer scramble to control narratives. You no longer panic when things are unclear. You wait. You listen. You move when led. That restraint is not hesitation. It is confidence. Some will not recognize this version of you. They were accustomed to your availability, your over-functioning, your constant proving. This quieter authority may confuse them. Let it. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be aligned with God. You will also notice something subtle but profound. Joy returns without effort. Not excitement fueled by adrenaline, but joy rooted in security, the kind that does not spike and crash, the kind that remains steady regardless of external noise. That joy is evidence that trust has taken root. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. This peace is not circumstantial, it is custodial. God keeps it, not because everything is perfect, but because your focus is anchored. Trust stabilizes the mind, and a stabilized mind can carry authority without strain. As you move forward, remember this. The crown is not something you must protect. God protects what he establishes, Omo. Your role is not to guard your calling with fear, but to steward it with faith. You do that by staying close, by listening before acting, by resting before deciding, by trusting even when the path curves. If this journey has resonated with you, if it has brought clarity, relief, or confirmation, feel free to like this message so it can quietly reach others who are walking the same road. You may also share it with someone who needs permission to trust instead of strive. And if you want to continue receiving these messages as they unfold, you're welcome to subscribe and stay connected. Not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Chosen one, You are not crowned because you endured more pain than others. You are crowned because you learned to trust God where others kept control. And that trust will carry you further than struggle ever could.